few places we could start.
Yeah.
We can start with your journey, but I actually really want to know about the business.
Yeah.
And I feel like we talk so much about marketing, like we do, and I, consume so much content around marketing.
Yeah.
But I actually don't really have a very good understanding of what like a marketing business actually does
Yeah.
and how they would make money. So I'm really interested in hearing like the finer details.
What actually do we do?
Well, yeah, almost a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, probably like the really like finer details of it all, which I maybe haven't quite got my head around.
Yeah.
So if you could introduce your business and then sort of talk a little bit around that.
Our agency is called Program. We rebranded just over 2 years ago. We were called Astley Media for about 10 years before that. So as an agency, we've been running for about 12 years. So I guess the business has evolved over the years, really. But an agency, essentially, broader speaking, they're there as a service provider to, I guess, complement and enhance in-house marketing functions, essentially. So the benefit and the beauty with an agency is you get so many different types. Obviously, you've got very specialist niche agencies, but within an agency, you get different kind of skill sets, different experiences, different. I guess you're getting a sort of a broader team of ideas. So the idea is really for a company to use an agency is because it kind of will give them sort of either specialist knowledge for one particular area. So it might be that you've got a marketing manager in house who's got no PR experience, so they come to an agency because they want PR specialist skills and the contacts and the database and the tools and things that they have. Or it could be a creative agency because they need a range of ideas and then they need the sort of the experience to be able to actually put it into action. So for us as an agency, we're kind of doing strategic marketing, brand and creative work, and PR and comms. So we're quite broad in what we're doing. What we don't do is we're not building websites, we're not doing technical SEO, we're not doing paid media. They tend to be very specialist because you need to be on it all the time with those kind of specific skills. So we kind of it depends. Every client is different. I guess you guys have the same, there's different requirements, different needs. But they typically come to us with potentially sort of sometimes a client will know they've got a problem or they know they need an agency or they've worked with agencies before and it's just become the normal. Or you'll have a conversation with somebody and they say, our brand's not quite how we want it to be. And then it will evolve into a conversation and okay, well, this is what we could do. We could work with you to have a look at where you are now, what you want to achieve, what's your business vision, what's your goals, etc. And we will work through a process with you to get you to a place where you've got a sort of refresh brand, essentially. That's just one example. But and obviously the way we make money is we charge for that service. But and then we've got other clients that are on retained models. So they tends to be when they sort of know they need support ongoing. And it could be they just pay a sort of a certain amount a month and they get a certain amount of sort of time out and or outcomes for that time. It could be a variety of different things. It could be that we're doing their content, social media for them. It could be that we're doing their PR for them. So we'd sit with them sort of once a month and look at what's going on, look for PR hooks, what media we could target, etc. It could be just a whole variety of things depending on what's going on. They could have a complete mix of event support. Quite often it's just consultancy and ideas, sitting down with the client and they're saying, well, we've got this and this going on, and our creatives will then sit down and say, well, we could do this. So what about that? Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of an agency. You've got the variety of the different people with different ideas and so on and so forth. So
what are you guys best at?
Gosh, that's really difficult in terms of sort of skills, in terms of service.
Yeah.
I tell you what we're really good at is one of the things we do is kind of humanizing brands. I would say we're really good at.
Okay.
So particularly because we work in quite a lot of sort of innovation and tech world. So quite often we'll talk to founders or businesses and they're very product focused, of course, because it's all about the tech in their mind. But actually, when we talk to them and talk about their brand and their marketing, we're trying to sort of get them to talk about more around the impact piece and what this actually means for people. And actually the stories that come out of that. It's almost like we're good at drilling deep into that, what is actually the real impact here? What is actually the
The
thing that's going
why
to
almost.
resonate? The
Yeah.
why, the
Yeah.
purpose, what's going to resonate with people,
Mm.
and sort of make them buy into the brand.
Mm.
So I would say that was probably one of our
You got a
key
good case study
strengths.
for those ones?
Oh gosh, there's loads. It's hard to
Yeah.
like come up with a particular one. There's like we're doing that sort of all the time, really.
Yeah. I mean, marketing business, I was saying at the start, there's I feel like it must have changed so much just in the last 10 years with like
Yeah,
technology because yeah, I saw marketing like a long time ago and like maybe I was like younger as like newspapers, television and
yeah.
like
Mass
advertising,
mass
radio,
media.
yeah, that
Yeah,
sort of
Mhm.
stuff.
above the line marketing, which was sort of mass. Yeah,
Yeah, but
at
then
TV
all
advertising.
of a
Yeah,
sudden, when I think of marketing, I basically only think of social media now,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is obviously wrong, but like is that basically how it's
I
gone?
think when people think of marketing, they think about channels, which is exactly what you've just done. You're
Mm,
thinking about the channels, not and actually marketing. It really starts with the strategy.
mm,
Who's your customer? What do you want them to think and feel? What are you trying to get them to do?
mm,
What, all that bit that comes first is
mm,
really what the core essential bit of marketing is.
yeah,
And then all those channels come sort of later. They're just tactics essentially, but that
yeah,
has changed massively, like you say. So when we first started the agency, one of the sort of core things we used to talk to people was about being your own publisher. And
okay,
the kind of message was, I mean, this is about 12 years ago when we were talking about this, and the change has already begun then, but um, it was still people were still fairly traditional in terms of kind of particularly in terms of like PR and thinking about we need to get coverage,
mm,
and they and it was around that time that people started to we would start to talk to people about how they can, yeah, basically be their own. They've got the tools were starting to become available. Well, they were available, and they was, people could then start to use them to tell the stories themselves
mm,
for free,
mm,
um, and be able to shape their own narrative and so on and so forth. But been a journey for people, I think, particularly people who've been in business and doing marketing a traditional way for a long time, and
mm,
still today, even though people are still skeptical about social media, understandably for some reasons, and it's wading through what's relevant for them, and
mm,
come across so many businesses which feel like they have to be on every channel. I need to do this, and you're like,
yeah,
actually, no, don't.
yeah.
Like,
Just
it's
because everyone
impossible.
else is.
What what
Yeah.
what are like the objections you come across with social media?
Oh, just well, people, don't know where to begin, don't know where to start. What do we post? Because people forget about that strategy bit. They forget
Mm,
about thinking about, well, who's our audience?
mm,
Do we say that's actually of value to them? They just think, I just need to be on social media and posting.
mm,
Um, and the objections are time for sure. I'll come across people who start and then they're like, I just haven't got time to do this,
yeah,
which clearly it's a big thing. But again, it's going back to, well, hold on a minute, what's actually important? Where is actually going to gain some value?
yeah,
I think talking to a lot of people about LinkedIn these days and the personal side of LinkedIn, which is just so much more powerful than
mm,
the brand side on LinkedIn, and definitely get a lot of resistance around. And I get it because I've been there. The cringe factor of LinkedIn and kind of feeling like, well, why would anyone care about what I have to say, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think lots of people and brands, are really good at it and really comfortable with it. But I think it's quite often sort of smaller businesses and things like that who've just not got the personal experience, or they don't use it personally.
yeah.
Quite often, if a company doesn't, I'm not on Facebook, they'll say, and but doesn't mean
There's a
that
lot
for
to
the
learn.
brand
There's
it
a lot
doesn't.
to do with it, isn't there, with
Yeah,
LinkedIn? No, I've certainly been on a big journey with that, and it started off, you know, just thinking, "Oh, I will post something and then people will see it," sort of thing. There's obviously
yeah,
loads that go into that, and the only like way I sort of understood how much goes into it, we had a bit of a learning session like 2 or 3 years ago. Some
yes,
sort of trainer came in, and even then, it's changed so much since then.
yeah,
But I think time is a huge one, isn't it? Like
yeah,
objections, people don't have the time for a lot of it. But it goes into time, but like the mental like energy that goes
yeah.
into it as well, because
Training,
yeah,
yeah,
it is actually. I mean, it's your job basically, but like coming up with these posts
yeah,
and like just the content around that can be quite difficult,
I,
can't it?
I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier. It is all about the impact, and that's what people and businesses need to think about.
mm,
Because if time is the objection, then what do you actually want out of it?
yeah,
Because if you do want to build your brand in a positive way and, in the long run, be able to get more clients, get more customers, want more people to work for you, then that is the impact. So that's why you've got to put the time into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably a big part of your job, is explaining that to your
I
clients.
think one of the key things with things, platforms like LinkedIn and social media generally, when you're not doing kind of paid lead gen stuff, I'm talking about brand building. So the most successful marketing is when you are doing both in tandem. So your brand, long-term brand building and doing short-term lead gen together. People struggle with the long-term brand building, which is us posting on LinkedIn is long-term brand building.
Mm.
And that is where showing up and being consistent, even when times are tough and everyone's just going into just get sales, just get sales. The sort of, there's loads of kind of reports and statistics out there that shows those who continue with the long-term brand building is where they see ultimate success. So that's, it's difficult because particularly when people start using certain channels, because they don't get leads off the back of them,
Mm.
people think, hold on a minute, why am I not getting inquiries through
Mm.
these channels? But it's trying to explain, it's the bigger picture. It's
Mm.
that, you know, you're like you said, use the word building your brand. And it takes time, it's the showing up and the consistency, and brand salience is massive. People are hearing of brands in different pockets and the touch points and things like that. They all it just takes time, and it counts over time. It's also
Mm.
very difficult to measure
What?
Well,
because
that's a huge,
Yeah.
sorry, that's a huge part of like why I think some people struggle like the marketing is because it's so hard to quantify and like the
exactly.
the direct returns, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that objection and sort of sell the services that way?
Yeah, I think it's just using examples that we've had from clients before.
Mm.
So, and again, just yeah, exactly, just drawing on experience really for with clients, but also with ourselves. I mean, I use myself as an example from a kind of personal brand
Mm.
perspective. So I'm, yeah, getting opportunities to talk at things like building brands and the event in December that we're going to be talking at, and that is all because I've been posting on LinkedIn
Mm.
essentially,
Mm.
and been doing other
Mm.
activities such as speaking at events. You know, it just builds, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
um, and then from that, I've met new people, and from that, I potentially got new work contacts and referrals, and so you know, it's sort of, it's hard to necessarily put it all down to one thing.
Yeah.
So just tend to just talk about stories, because there's loads of different stories out there. I'd have in sort of my backlog of brains. So it's just kind of like of just stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
I've seen businesses grow over time, and I've seen opportunities come to them
Yeah.
because they've had the confidence. I think it's just sort of having the, I don't know if confidence is the right word, but had the kind of, okay, right, we know we need to do this, and let's just keep going with it. And it, yeah, over the years, things have happened because they've just kept going and
Mm.
just,
What would you say to a business out there that understands the importance of building their brand,
yeah.
understands that it needs to be consistent and it does take time, but they actually just struggle with what to actually put out there?
Would need to, I mean, if I suppose they need to have a strategy. They need to work, if they can't do it themselves, need to work with someone or an agency or something, or a creative or a consultant, just to sit down and start from scratch. And it's always like, where are you now? What are you trying to achieve? And then also thinking about what's possible in terms of resource and budget and all the constraints. But what also, you know, there's always a way of doing something. Or the choice is to not do anything and then just stay as you are and just hope for the best. But
Mm.
yeah, I
Do you,
think
sorry to
no,
butt in.
no,
I was
it's
going to
okay.
say from that, do you think that those businesses that aren't joining in with building their brands are going to get left behind?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like unless building a brand is just, yeah, or just consistently being aware of a brand or managing a brand is just, for me it's a non-negotiable.
Mm.
Like I'm not talking about doing loads of marketing necessarily and being when I'm talking about building a brand, I'm talking about being very aware. The best build the best way to build a brand is to really understand your brand from a external perspective, and to make strategic decisions about what marketing you do with your brand that's within your constraints, and test different things and so on and so forth, but not going crazy and thinking you have to do everything, but what value you can get from doing what's within your means, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's all about being aware, isn't it? That's what I'm getting
Yeah.
from this, that
Yeah.
every business just needs to be aware of
Yeah.
what's going on around them and how to kind of get into their their niche in the best way.
Yeah, so many businesses don't understand brand
Mm,
management,
mm,
and how that's different to marketing. So for me, brand management is really a understanding around your brand, what people think about your brand, not what just what you think about your brand, because that's not a brand. The perception, the reality, where I mean, really, ideally, sort of every year you should potentially diagnose your brand. I think I spoke about this in the talk last week. You need to sort of look and think, hold on, where are we? Where is our brand now? How are we seen? Where are we? What because actually what we think our brand is not necessarily what the brand actually is.
mm,
And then from there you make, review and make strategic decisions about the brand. And then what marketing you do around that, that's sort of almost as like a separate bit, thinking about what you've done before, what new opportunities are out there, but yeah, it's it's a lot to cover.
What's Program's brand then?
So we are helping innovative organizations and brands do good, essentially,
Mhm,
tell their do good stories.
mhm,
So we were finding is that so many companies are doing amazing things and doing like particularly in the sort of that sort of tech innovation world, they're doing creating life changing technologies and so on and so forth, but they're not don't know how to tell those stories.
mm,
So that's kind of our positioning where we are at the moment,
mm.
is because we really enjoy doing that kind of work, and I think we do a good job of doing that kind of work. Yeah, we that's essentially where we
Mm.
are.
I wouldn't have thought that. Do you know what I mean? Like a marketing business, that's just not my like classic perception of a marketing
Yeah,
business. But it sounds like you guys are much better at, well, or you feel like you're very good at the branding side of things, which is almost like storytelling for
yeah,
different
yeah, yeah,
businesses,
yeah, yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
Really.
for sure.
And again, like I just think straight away to like social media and like
Yeah,
putting ads out there, sort of thing. So it's
yeah.
like so much different once you sort of break down into it,
It
isn't it?
is
Really.
that all comes that
Mm,
comes the ads and things like that, and not every brand needs to do paid ads at
mm,
all. But those that do, that will come out of the wash in terms of
yeah.
going through that strategic process. So when we start working with someone, we'll go through like the discovery phase where you sort of sit down and again, what do you want to achieve? Who's your
Yeah.
customer? Who your audience is? What's the market doing at the moment? What's the opportunity? Where are you? What's your competition doing? Where are you positioned in the and all of that, again, you kind of come out with a kind of position of where a company is.
Mm,
And then, yeah, from that, you then look at what works best in that, from
yeah.
experience and from
Mm,
research, what would work. There's often a lot
mm,
of testing as well,
mm,
particularly with things like advertising. It's not really necessarily any guarantee, but I
yeah.
guess we know from experiences with
Experience, isn't
similar
it?
clients
Mm,
potentially what where a good
mm.
starting point.
It's really hard to tell a story, isn't it? Like, how do you like stay creative enough to like know? Is it quite obvious sometimes? But there's a real like big creative element in there, isn't there? And like, it
Yeah. It's asking a
does,
lot of questions, asking a
yeah.
lot of questions and just, I guess,
I suppose it's because every business is different. Does that sort of
yeah,
help and like be able to tell their story through that, or does everybody
yeah.
have similar messages? Is that what you come across, or
When they come to us, everyone has similar
do
messages.
they? Yeah,
Mm.
So your people come to us and they'll, particularly on the brand side of things, it's
yeah.
really interesting. It's, you sort of say, why do your customers come to you? Because
Mm,
we're trustworthy,
mm,
authentic, because they know we'll do a good job, because our customer service is great. And we
mm,
say, of course, of course, of
yeah,
course. We can't, that's not going to make you stand out. All the
yeah,
stuff that you wouldn't have the opposite of, they're just a given within a business, aren't they?
yeah.
And sometimes you might have one of those things, elements might be just so strong, and you've got stats or data around it to prove it, that actually you can play that into the brand.
Mm,
But it's really teasing out, yeah, kind of what we do, like an exercise, like we've got this deck of cards for brands where we'll work with um the company to kind of go through and say, I how do are you funny, or are you serious? Are you professional or quirky? And
mm,
just to tease that out a bit. I mean, ultimately, that's again coming from it from an internal perspective,
mm,
and whenever we sort of come to a sort of a conclusion about how a brand sees or wants to be seen as,
mm.
my recommendation would always be that you need to test that.
Always be genuine as well, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
exactly. Are you? Oh, yeah. Yes. Is it real?
Mm,
Exactly.
mm.
Because you can't create, falsely creating something that you're not. It's just never going to work long term. It's not sustainable.
Suppose a good example that's coming to mind that when I had a look at you guys is your campaign that you did. Is it with Safer Exeter.
Safer Exeter, yeah.
And that wasn't on social media. I don't know if you can tell us a bit about that, about the
Yeah, so
story you
that's one of our
told.
favourite campaigns we've done. And actually, we'd work a lot in the tech world, but this is not. I mean, there was a tech element to the delivery of the campaign, but it's obviously not a tech brand. So Safer Exeter came to us. So it was a partnership of mixed within like the university. I think it was Devon and Cornwall Police, some other players in there as well, and they wanted to do. There was some training available for bystander intervention. So this is for people training. Predominantly, it was aimed at males to train males to be able to, if they saw harassment taking place, be able to safely intervene. Does that make sense? It was a lot of mouthful, a big mouthful
Yeah.
then. But so yeah,
Mm.
the campaign was around recruiting people for training, basically, by highlighting sort of quite alarming statistics around women who've experienced harassment in Exeter who feel unsafe, etc. So so this came to us, and so we sat down and again looked at what are we actually trying, what we're trying to achieve here. So it's yeah, what do we need people to feel? So it's kind of getting that emotional kind of element in there. So our creative director Chris came out with like 3 campaign concepts, and yeah, it's kind of a quite a bold campaign. It's quite sort of I don't know if you've seen some of the kind of visuals and things like that. We did, we came up with one which was a very sort of human, but actually we didn't want to sort of we didn't want to stereotype too much or to make it too specific in terms of look. So we actually went with a worded campaign in the end, and actually that did resonate really well. So it was delivered via out of home. So this was bus shelters and things like that, but also digitally paid. We did do some digital paid media, which is through Facebook and Instagram with a very sort of specific targeted audience, and went to places like the football club, gyms in town, the cinema, where again our target audience would
Mm.
would essentially see them. But it was really successful actually. The training was booked up pretty much straight away, and they
Wow.
put on another load of courses and things as well. But it got a lot of people talking about it as an issue. And then there was a sort of a secondary part of the campaign which we weren't so involved in, but it was around getting venues to sign up to kind of like support the kind of Safer Exeter kind of mission throughout Exeter, just to raise to keep the conversation going really around the fact that this is even on our in our home city, this is still an issue, and and that women don't feel necessarily safe walking
Mm.
around the
Mm.
city. So yeah, it was a really important campaign, and actually some other places in the country apparently are using the creative as well. So yeah, I
Nice.
was quite pleased to hear that. And we won a couple of awards. Got shortlisted for a Drum Award. So in the marketing world, Drum, they're like global awards. Quite prestigious, all the massive agencies that tend to win them, and occasionally a few regional small independent agencies win. So we got shortlisted for a Drum Award for that campaign. So that was really,
Nice.
really good, because it gives, it's not about us, but it gives the campaign more
Yeah, a lot
weight.
of visibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good for us as an agency, because that's the sort of work we
Well,
want
it's
to
a
do.
win-win for everyone, that
It's a
isn't it?
win-win for
Really? Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, massively.
And it's an impact campaign. It was a
Yeah,
social impact campaign, which we really like. So yeah, but
yeah.
that's the sort of thing we love doing really, and
Mm,
would love to do more of.
mm. So program then, just going back to you work a lot with tech businesses, is that right?
Yeah. So
Predominantly, not exclusively.
not exclusively.
Yeah,
We've got clients in other sectors as well.
yeah.
So we've got a second business called Tech Southwest, and
Hmm.
so it all kind of aligns nicely. About 6 years ago, we saw an opportunity to create basically a regional wide cluster for tech businesses in the southwest, because there's about 17 or 18,000 tech businesses in the southwest. It's huge. It's the biggest.
Loads, isn't
It's
it?
Wow.
massive. It's the biggest sector, biggest growing sector. Particularly like there's pockets of like clean tech, marine tech,
Yeah. You
agri
probably wouldn't
tech.
know that though, would you? Like
Exactly.
that's the thing. That is
Exactly. Yeah.
crazy.
And there's some brilliant sort of smaller kind of tech clusters, we call them. So there's Tech Exeter, for example. There's Tech Cornwall. The idea was to sort of bring all those together into one kind of we call it like an ecosystem
Mm.
of tech in the region. So yeah, we founded that about 6 years ago. I can't take credit. It's my Dan Pritchard, my co-founder at the agency. Yeah, it's his baby really. And he's going great guns with that at the moment. So there's a team of 6 at Tech Southwest now. It's a completely separate business to
Okay.
program, but we're very closely aligned because program we support Tech Southwest with marketing and events and
Mm.
help that they're essentially a client of ours as well.
Mm.
But naturally, because of the relationship, we clients come to us who are members of Tech Southwest, but they're not always.
Mm.
Sometimes they do,
Mm.
sometimes they don't. So it's been a different sort of it's been a different journey because we've kind of got these two businesses that are kind of complementary.
What is Tech Southwest? Is it like
So
a
it's a ecosystem of tech companies. It's a membership, and an easier way
okay?
to explain it, it's a membership
Okay.
organisation.
Yeah.
It's free for people to join.
Yeah.
So we've got over 3,000 members, but then companies can join and sort of on a paid subscription to get sort of extra benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of not the main kind of
Mm.
purpose for it. It's around kind of trying to join the dots to showcase the wonderful tech and innovation that's going on in the Southwest because like you say,
Mm.
people don't know what's going on here. There's
Yeah.
absolutely massive world class technologies being created in the
Nobody's shouting about
Southwest.
it.
And what the idea is to help people bring them together because actually collaboratively it's a lot easier to shout about it. And
Mm.
also from an investment point of view. So
Mm.
a lot of investment. And when you hear government talking about tech, they're talking about the Northern Powerhouse and talking about different areas in the country, and the
Mm.
Southwest doesn't get mentioned.
No.
Actually, there's so much going on here. The investment doesn't stay in the Southwest, basically.
Yeah.
It's around lobbying government. It's around, kind of showcasing what's the talent and what's going on here to attract investment and funding
Mm.
into the Southwest, essentially.
Mm.
So, day to day, I'm not so involved. I'm on the board of Tech Southwest, and I'm a director of Tech Southwest, but my focus is very much on the agency. But we're very
Mm.
closely aligned,
Yeah.
like I say, because we sponsor all the activity and things. So not next week, the week after, we do an annual award. So it'll be the 6th
Okay.
year. So it's about 400 to 500 people. We're in Bristol this year. We were in Exeter
Brilliant.
last year, where we showcase basically the best of tech
Mm.
in the Southwest. So it'd be things like the Sustainability Award, Women in Tech Award,
Mm. Is it a
Entrepreneur
lot
of
of
the
like
Year.
networking events, that sort of stuff around
Yeah,
it too?
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
funding events. Like we hold twice a year an investment summit where we bring investors in to and do some showcasing and kind of
Mm.
pitches for give up companies the opportunity to pitch like a Dragon's Den type
Mm.
style.
Mm.
We've also got something called Growth Forge with Tech Southwest, which is a program of it's sort of about I think it's about 8 partners. So there's ourselves, there's Bishop Fleming, there's Sandler on the sales side. There's basically different partners, and then they go through a program of basically where we'll have sort of days with them to help them with their kind of growth journey. So it's with startups and scale up businesses, and so run programs and things like that. So yeah,
Nice.
that's
Nice.
just a side hustle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's quite clever actually because it brings together your target market, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
then you complement each other really, really nicely. So
Yeah,
you put
yeah,
everything together.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, they are they are sort of businesses in their own right. But yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
it works nicely
Yeah,
for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah, you must
Yeah.
get work from that.
And
How
also
do
gives us that insight into the tech, as program, we've got that sort of link into
Mm.
we can talk to so if we're talking to clients about helping with their investor pitch decks, for example, creative side, we've got access to
So
investors.
much,
Mm.
yeah, so much information there
Yeah,
as
so
well.
that I think it's a quite that's our USP for
Mm.
sure,
Mm.
is that we've got that and the link to that, and yeah, we've got the
Mm.
link to the people, and I mean, for example, Tech Southwest is Microsoft's social value partner in the UK, so
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty good stuff.
yeah, there's some
Yeah.
good stuff going on.
Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah.
cool. How do you want sort of program to be perceived in terms of like your brand?
Yeah, I think a bit sort of, I suppose, as I've said, that we're sort of in that do good world, wanting to tell good stories, helping people, and actually um, doing really good creative,
Mm.
and being really good at doing creative work, and building really good brands, and producing really good work. Really, I suppose
Mhm.
that's really what it comes down to. Of course, on the back of that, nice people, which I think we are. Like, we
Yeah.
never hear anything else.
Yeah.
um, but I would say, yeah, just producing bloody good work. Which, I mean,
Yeah.
of course, I'm biased. I'm going to say I think we do, but yeah, that's how I definitely would want
Do
to be
you
known
do you feel
for.
like you guys are there, or is it like a ever sort of evolving journey for you, sort of thing, with that?
I think I think we are doing really good work, and
Mm.
things feel really good in terms of our brand awareness is pretty good. The team, we've got a good solid team. We're doing good work. We've got some really good clients.
Do you find it challenging doing your brand, programs brand, whilst also working on so many other of your clients? Like, how do you
Must be
find
good
that
because you get
balance?
inspiration.
The hardest is doing your own brand.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
hardest is doing
Yeah.
your own brand. I don't know if you guys have I don't know if you have an equivalent of that. I don't know. Probably not. Maybe you're probably really good at recruiting your own
Well, we've
people,
got
but
3 different businesses at the moment, so
you're balancing still.
balancing all of
Yeah,
that.
you're juggling as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So I really find the biggest struggle is our own brand and own marketing,
Mm.
because it's so focused on everyone else's, and it's
Mm.
easier to look from an external perspective, I find, whereas you're sort of so internalized.
Mm.
Yeah, it can be difficult. So my that's my responsibility, our brand and our marketing. But I've got a member of the team to help me to do that and sort of do the execution piece.
Mm.
But again, we've just done the same thing, really. Just tried to. I mean, we've tried all sorts of different things over the years, and we're quite always trying to do stuff and be active and something that's I love doing collaborative stuff.
Mm.
It's just the mix, isn't it? Doing different things, but really trying to just do what's also just doing what's within our means, and yeah, but
Mm.
not turning it off at any point either,
Mm.
Mm.
because it's really easy to have those discussions where it's so busy with client work, where it's like just put everything for program marketing aside.
Yeah.
But I always go back to let's just do something,
Mm.
the most important things. And usually because there's some kind of event or some kind of placeholder that we've got to do, almost that makes it easier.
Mm.
So like with building brands, for example, that was definitely happening. So we're definitely going to talk about that and do, whereas if it's just writing blogs, for example, there's less kind of urgency around that and things. Yeah.
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 So just kind of,
I think with our brand, I think you are right. It's really difficult working on your own brand because you're spending so much time on other people's brands as well.
yeah.
Bit different for us, I suppose, because yeah, it's a bit more your bag, to be honest. But
The way
what
that
our
I
intention is now with our brand, we
Mm.
probably haven't got much of like a North Star at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, to start off with, it was a bit more about, increasing awareness, generating awareness for, future employees to come and join us and letting them know about what we're doing, that sort of thing.
Yes.
We feel like we nailed that because we got to a place where we
You've
weren't
got a
even
great solid team.
yeah,
Yeah.
team, but we didn't post an advert, and we had loads of people coming to approach
Yeah.
us to sort of
Yeah.
join us. So
Perfect. You have nailed
we
that.
ticked
Yeah.
that box really well. But I don't know, I feel like now maybe we've not lost direction. We are continuing with that, but we don't necessarily have like a North Star of where we want to go with it, and
Do
there
you
isn't
maybe
so
just
much
need to have a bit
intention.
of a
Yeah.
reset
Well, I think what
Mm.
you said earlier about actually kind of re-diagnosing the brand, like
Mm.
maybe before the end of the year, I kind of thought, oh, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
Probably
Mm.
something that we do need to do. I think especially throughout this year, like we've had such an evolving year, haven't
Mm.
we, at Conquer? So many things have changed and we're doing so much that we weren't even doing this time last
Yeah.
year, like the podcast, for example. And it is finding that balance of, Conquer, the Conquering Pod, and Conquer Media now,
Yeah.
and we call that our ecosystem. So making
Yes.
sure that that's all working in conjunction with each other as well.
Yeah. What sort of, are they all equal on level playing fields? Are they all, yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
like,
those are the
Yeah.
questions, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you guys do that? Do you like have like, I don't know, quarterly or monthly sessions where you maybe sit down
For
and assess that sort of
ourselves,
stuff? Yeah.
yeah.
Do
I
you
mean, we're
try to?
meeting all the time,
Yeah.
really. Yeah. At least once a quarter for sure, like the sort of senior team. And we
Mm.
bring in other members of the team. We're very collaborative and try and make sure everybody's sort of, going on that journey as we are. And actually, it's yeah, the brand is evolving
Mm.
constantly.
Mm.
Constantly kind of thinking, yeah, is this should we change this
Mm.
slightly, or just
Mm.
should we rethink this, or yeah, basically
Mm.
just talking and
Yeah, it's the best way
kind
to
of
do it, isn't it?
what's the word, reflecting a lot,
Yeah.
and just thinking, yeah, just where are we
That's
at?
where we get a lot out of these sessions as well. Is
Mm.
we Tom and I have sort of podcast sort of thing that we do alongside, and it's a bit of a different series, and we talk a lot. But there's so much reflecting. You come up with so many ideas just by
Yeah,
sitting down and talking about this sort of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Like even just with somebody like yourself and previous, you get so much from that just from
yeah.
talking about it and
Yeah, yeah.
reflecting.
So I'm already thinking, I can give you some tips afterwards and things like that. For if you want it,
Brilliant.
depending on
Yeah.
what you need, and in terms of doing that brand
Lots to go
diagnosis.
into.
Yeah,
Just going back to program again, like the business and maybe going into like the businessy side of things. Is there much like intention to grow? Is what's the sort
yeah,
of
for
plan with that?
sure.
Where do
Yeah,
you want
we
to go
are.
with
We're
it?
ambitious to
Mm.
grow, to continue to grow. We are growing. It's
Mm-hmm.
slow.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. We're not growing at the speed of light, but it's
Mm.
we are still growing. This will be our best year
Mm.
yet. The agency environment is tough.
Mm.
I do a lot of networking with other agency owners, and I think it's really important actually to just because of from a personal perspective, from a personal growth perspective and things like that, but also understanding what is happening in the market and where everything's at. It's the world of marketing is changing. AI,
Yeah.
the traditional agency model, we've all got a big question mark over, um,
Oh, really? Why is that?
because of AI and because that's
Really?
just people just being able to, whilst we still very much think and say, and I do believe there'll always be a place for premium creative, human led creative, and
Mm.
people will pay a price for that. We just know that people are doing a lot of stuff themselves
Mm.
quickly
Mm.
and easily,
Mm.
and whether it's good at the moment, quite often stuff you see that you can tell is AI generated
You know,
is
don't you?
crap.
Yeah, you
Mm.
know.
However, that's just because that's like that now doesn't mean it's going to always be
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, I will maintain a stance that there'll always be a need for, and there will be a market for human led
Yeah.
creative. But yeah, how things are now aren't is not necessarily how we don't know. But
Mm.
yeah, I think agencies need to take a look at themselves and where they're going, and how the world is changing, and can we just continue as we are basically.
Mm.
Need to think of other new services and products and things that we can offer that really are human led. I suppose it's
Mm.
just
Mm.
it's just really needing to think ahead for the future.
Yeah, it's a good conversation that. With
Yeah.
program, do you guys want to be like world beaters? Or
I
how
mean, we'd
big
love
do you
to
want to get?
be.
Where are
Yeah,
like
it's
the opportunities for growth for you, do you guys think?
yeah. I mean, I think really from this kind of tech innovation piece,
Mm.
really, I think we've been balancing building two businesses, but yeah, there is we don't see ourselves as kind of constraint in any way in terms of the world actually, and
Mm.
actually there are some opportunities that we're talking to people around at the moment. I can't say too much at the moment, which is very much not super local at all. We
Mm.
don't we love being in Exeter, we love being in the southwest, that's our roots, but in terms of where we work, don't we want to work wherever we find people that
Wherever the money is or
where the money,
Yeah,
whatever.
wherever you
no,
can work.
where we can find like clients who share
Yeah.
or who want to work with an agency like us, basically.
Mm.
That is kind of our goal. So um the sky's the limit, really. I
Mm.
think we're just kind of realistic in terms of we do set ourselves growth revenue targets each year. And
Mm.
again, next year we want to grow even more, but also we're all a bit unsure about the economy. Like I said, with agents, it's been a tough year. I don't know if it's the same with recruitment. Quite often, recruitment and agencies are
That's
fairly
been a tough
similar.
year. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what we find is that things are it's the long sales cycles,
Mm.
and it's last minute.
Mm.
A lot of stuff is last minute. So in terms of sort of planning ahead, that can be quite tricky.
Yeah, I know what
Mm.
you mean.
How have you, when we
Definitely.
were at Building Brands last week, I felt like a lot of agencies were talking about being ghosted and the impact of ghosting. Are
Yeah,
you
I came up with
finding
that.
that?
You do get a bit, but it's not massive. I've got a bit of a thing, and I just feel like if you've spent, I've sort of I want to stand up for the team a bit. If we've spent time doing a pitch or a proposal, I really think we need a response.
Mm.
I
Mm.
just feel quite strongly about that,
Mm.
because a lot of time and effort goes into doing that. If someone just emails you with a bit of, you haven't got to, you haven't done
Mm.
any work, or it's just initial. It's annoying if you never hear back,
Mm.
but you check in a couple of times. If you don't, okay, they've gone elsewhere or they're not interested. It wasn't a, a strong inquiry. But I've had situations where we've been and pitched or been and done a proposal and you cannot hear
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely
I mean, this
nothing.
is over the years. It's not happening all the time at
Mm,
all.
Mm.
mm.
Yeah.
That's annoying. I think
Have-
similar, like, the recruitment equivalent is somebody going for an interview and not getting feedback, or
yeah.
not getting feedback of a client, that sort of thing, and it
I'm
is
fine if it's a
frustrating, isn't
no.
it?
Like it,
Yeah,
just say if it's a
Yeah.
no. But
yeah.
usually, I think what's happened is they've decided not to just do anything.
Mm.
Oh,
But
really?
I just, yeah,
Mm,
I struggle when the team have put time and effort into to doing that.
mhm,
But that's all part on us as well, and the qualification
mhm.
of we're quite stronger now around qualifying
Mm.
before we do a pitch or a proposal. We really do qualify it because it's time, it's people's time.
Mm. Have you found that you get less no's the more you qualify sort of people's intentions and what they want?
I think so, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes. So, yeah, qualification is really important because if someone comes to you and or you have a conversation, but they have no budget, there's no timescale, they won't brief you.
There's no point, is there? Yeah, there's no
There's
Yeah.
no
seriousness
point.
sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
to put time and effort in at that upfront piece before there's any contract in place.
Mhm.
We're a business. We need to be putting our effort into people that really genuinely want to work with us
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
for our current clients. So
Mm,
it's just a bit of a balance. But of course we're really flexible and open and want to help people and
mm.
talk to people. But yeah, I think that's just business etiquette though, in terms of it's not just about agencies or marketing. I think like you say, it's the same for you guys.
Yeah.
But that did come up a lot of building brands, didn't it? About the
It
ghost
did.
thing. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's a real problem for us, but I think everybody probably has it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of your clients come to you for work, or do you guys go out and generate leads?
Referrals. It's a mix. It's a mix. Quite often it's word of mouth referrals, to be honest. Sometimes it's a website inquiry. We have
Mm.
had big clients who've come through who've inquired, done a
Mm,
Google search for marketing agencies in Exeter or whatever
mm.
they've searched for. But usually it is through networking, through events, through current clients, yeah, referrals and
What
things.
sort of percentage is like the incoming to outgoing sort of thing, would you say?
What do you mean? Sorry, so
So,
like
like, how much of it is through?
I would say about 75% is through
Oh,
those sort of methods.
that's a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's loads. And what is the other 25%? What does that look like? Is that you sort of picking up the phone, or
No, we don't ever do that.
really?
Yeah. Never done any cold sales at all.
No.
It's inbound inquiries really um through the website, or for example, I did a report with Building Brands about 18 months ago around positive impact marketing, which was what I did my talk on last week. But we did a white paper report and had some inquiries through that. So it's like kind of a marketing asset or something like that
Mm,
that potentially we've done in partnership with somebody. So we do get inquiries sometimes
Mm.
that way as well.
mm. Do you think you'll ever go out and do, like, I don't want to call it like intentional, but like some sort of sales in terms of that?
Yeah. So I think
Because the
um
reason where I'm getting it, I suppose, where I'm going at from is if 75% of your work is like inbound inquiries,
yeah.
that's brilliant because you're obviously doing loads about that. But then how would you, from like a business owner point of view, be intentional with growth?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is really difficult. I mean, I think the nature of what we do and the nature of who we are and nature of people and just talking to other agencies, some say that sort of doing that sort of more sales piece works. Some
Mm,
say it doesn't. Like
mm,
it's more you need to create the demand basically and
mm,
and create the demand and people come to you. So I think that's more our natural way and the way
mm.
we are. I can't ever say never, I suppose.
Yeah,
It's we've just never
yeah,
have
yeah,
and never have to, but potentially yeah, I mean, I have no interest in being completely cold outreach, really. I
yeah.
just find I'm really put off by it myself.
Mm,
However, I think for us, it's more um, mechanisms and assets and things
mm.
like that. So producing reports or doing events and so on and so forth,
It,
and then
it sounds
following
like,
up. It's not that
yeah.
we don't do any sales as in the sales process, but I suppose
Mm.
complete cold leads, we just have
It's
never
different.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do marketing agencies do that? Is that a thing, or am I coming at it in a completely wrong angle?
I don't really know any that
Mm,
particularly do. I'm sure
mm,
there are some that
mm,
particularly do it from potentially from a calling perspective.
mm.
or use other agencies.
Or even like
Agencies use
email
other agencies.
marketing and
Yeah,
stuff
we
like that.
do email
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah.
We don't, but it's not.
Mm.
We're not
So that's
doing.
the equivalent of your like outgoing sort of
Yeah, but
more so, isn't
it's
it?
not lead gen really email marketing.
No.
It's
Adding value more, is it?
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a letting people know about something
Yeah.
that's happening or event or a
Mm.
newsletter, that sort of thing really, but rather than it being kind of
So the way you guys could be intentional about growing the business is just do more of the stuff that you like advise other people to do yourself sort of thing as well,
yeah,
and just more reach, more
yeah,
following, the networking, the speaking events.
yeah,
Is that about right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But with a bit of element of doing some lead generational work, but that's again, like I say, through events where you then follow up or then you invite them to something else or do some so
Yeah.
it's still
Very much a
generating
long game sort of thing
leads,
as
but
well,
it's
isn't
not
it?
just picking up the phone and saying, can we come and talk to you?
Mm.
But sometimes I'm not saying I've never sent a message to any where there's been a sort of a genuine. I think there's a genuine. I think we've really genuinely got something to help or offer. I have reached out to people before and just said, look, just
Mm.
to let you know, we do this, and we've also got text that it might be of interest. Should we have a coffee?
Mm.
And I've definitely had meetings and things, as a result of doing things like that. But I don't
Yeah.
know. It's not necessarily. It's
No, I
not
know. Well,
hard
yeah,
sales, but
that's it's warm sales.
it's
That is it.
more
It's
like
very
business
warm.
development,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and
business
sort of long
development.
term.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always been very much where there's a real. I don't know, just a real. I really believe there's a real value to having a
Mm.
Yeah, I
conversation.
get it. I do get it.
I wonder if there'll ever be a point in an agency where there is like a position for a sales
Oh, there is.
manager.
Oh no, there is.
Oh, there
Loads of
is.
That's
agencies
yeah,
have.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the bigger companies, would they have like salespeople, which
Oh,
are
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
Big agencies have sales
mm,
business development teams. I'm not definitely I would love to have a sales biz dev person. So okay, so that would
Yeah.
definitely that would be like the dream.
yeah,
Someone who that would be, but I think it's just more the type of approach we would go for
Right.
would be warm,
I think it would be very organic, wouldn't it? I
organic,
think you're right.
content led,
Yeah,
Mm.
event like marketing led rather than
mm.
being cold
But I think you're in
outreach.
that position now. Would you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
you're doing all these events,
Yeah,
all these
that's how we're
networking
doing
events.
now.
You are
Exactly.
you are
Yeah,
like
we
the salesperson, but
yeah,
instead
yeah.
of it being like really really classic sales,
Yeah.
yeah, even something
Yeah.
like this could be considered like a sales sort of thing,
Yeah,
couldn't
it's
it? It's
brand
very
building. I'm
similar.
here,
Yeah.
but, and yeah,
Mm,
exactly. It's
mm,
all part of it. So doing lots of this sort of thing,
mm.
um, but no, I'm not picking up the phone to 100 companies and
Yeah.
saying, "Hi, can I come
Yeah.
and sell you
Yeah.
my wares?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. Like, what is your sort of position with the business? What are you good at? What do you enjoy about being a business owner? There's a few questions in
So
there for you.
yeah, 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 exactly. So I actually all sorts. I love the flex. I love the kind of you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah,
I kind of
good and bad.
yeah, exactly. My mentality is quite positive though. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
always just like, "Oh, it'll be fine.
yeah,
We'll just work our way." And
mm,
I think my career and my backstory, which we haven't talked about yet, but
mm,
and the way I got into the agency and things was very organic. I didn't plan a lot of it. So I
mm,
think that's the same with now and things. I'm kind of open-minded to whatever might happen. So what do I enjoy? I don't know. I just love the flexibility. I love the fact that myself and my business partner, we can make decisions really quickly and easily. We
mm,
can flex, we can adapt, we can be agile. I love all that.
mm.
I love, being able to create the culture that we want to create with the team and just have just really, you know, help the team and be there for the team and do nice things for the team and reward them and put on good learning development opportunities and things like
Mm,
that. I love
mm.
just sort of being able to sort of just not having to kind of having worked in big organizations before where you couldn't make stuff happen because
Mm.
it's just too big and too much red
Bureaucracy.
tape and stuff
Mm.
like that. So yeah, I love all that. And just love the I kind of love the roller coaster of it a little bit
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Don't know, it's probably just my personality
No, that's
type.
good.
Yeah. Was there another question in there?
Yeah, that was what you enjoy. What do you do the most of? What do you find
What do
yourself
I
doing
do
the
the
most?
most of? It's a bit of everything really. My
Yeah.
role is a bit so I'm a marketing director. I've always called myself that, but I suppose I'm more like an MD really.
Mm.
So so do I'm
Do
not
you tie it
managing.
all together, sort of thing? Is that?
Yeah, I kind of so I don't. We've got a brilliant client team. So we've got a director of client services, Emma, who manages the client team. So they will bring me in to do some strategy work because I'm a strategist. So I love that. So I still get to do some client work, but I'm not day to day managing clients.
Mm.
So I'm definitely overseeing our marketing, involved in some of the business development. That's not just my responsibility, but it's sort of
Mm,
between myself and Dan, my business partner, we kind of share that responsibility. And then just also doing lots of different things in terms of HR, a bit of
mm.
Mm.
techie support sometimes, which I'm no good with. Like
Yeah.
if people have got laptops are broken, I'm like, go to Apple. Like
Yeah.
just that's not my bag. But I will be there to coordinate and help
Mm,
people,
mm,
or yeah, just overarchingly supporting the team really.
mm,
I don't know. It could be like a lot of strategy discussions are going on about, yeah, what should we do about this? Or just, yeah, I'm a bit of a kind of jack of all trades to a certain
mm,
degree.
mm. So you tie it all together, and you offer a lot of help with certain subjects which you think you're better at, sort of thing,
Yeah.
and
So in
jump in and
terms of
out.
my skill set, in terms of marketing, it's more marketing and brand strategy, I
Yeah.
would say. So I was originally more marketing strategist, but I've did a mini MBA in brand. And done a lot of work with clients over the last sort of 5 years, and taken a real interest in sort of more the brand side of things. So yeah, brand and marketing strategy is my skill set.
Mm.
Whereas from a sort of a PR comms perspective, I've got Emma, my colleague, is, that's her background, so she's much
Oh, that's
stronger
good.
on that. So
Yeah.
we will definitely play on each other's strengths. So
Mm,
yeah, the bits that I'm good at will get involved, and I suppose it's what you've had experience of throughout the years. So I've done quite a lot of event management in previous roles and things like that. So I would
mm,
potentially get involved in that as and when,
yeah.
if needed.
That's good.
Normally not needed. I've got a really
Yeah.
good team, so.
That's good. How did you get into marketing then? Let's talk about your journey.
Yes.
Where did it all start for
So,
you?
yeah, well, I at school, I remember we did media studies at school,
Mm,
and again, it was more sort of kind of advertising then, which is obviously just one element of marketing, but didn't really. I remember saying to my careers advisor I wanted to get into that, and I've still got the bit of paper which says Caroline really wants to get into like advertising. I've told her it's just really competitive. Perhaps look at other
perhaps
alternatives.
not.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, it's really negative.
That is actually how I used to see when I was at the start. I was explaining how I see marketing. I saw it as advertising.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
I
say to
think a
me all
lot
the
of people
time,
do
what's the
that.
difference
Yeah,
between marketing and advertising? And I'm
yeah,
like, that's advertising is one channel, like of
yeah,
means of what is one tactic in marketing. Marketing
yeah.
is.
How would you define marketing?
So it oh.
I know. I just thought I don't want to put you under pressure and say what is the definition of marketing, but I kind of thought storytelling. Is that a better way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one, again, it's just one
But that's
aspect. It's
yeah.
it's kind of
Mm,
any kind of aspect in terms of a business that is related to the market
mm,
opportunity. So it's, I mean, different businesses have different things within the marketing kind
mm,
of remit essentially, but it's anything that's kind of relating to a customer essentially. So pricing, your strategy, it's so intrinsically linked with your business strategy. New
mm,
product development is
mm,
market led.
mm.
So if you're as a business creating a new product, 9 times out of 10, unless you're Apple, which creates products because they're so cool and just they don't, they just guess what the market wants
Yeah.
basically, or they just anticipate what the market will want in the future. So new product development, the pricing, the way your business is positioned, your brand,
Mm,
it's all of those things is
mm,
within a marketing remit.
mm.
Does that
Give
make sense? Or
give
do you,
me give me a short, sharp definition
oh,
of marketing.
oh God. Marketing is anything that affects your customer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it, like it. Go
Yeah.
on, give yours.
I Well, after this conversation, I think I do have a different definition of marketing because in my world, marketing is branding, but again, that's just one element of
Mm,
it. So I suppose in my world, in my definition, which is not going to be suiting to all, marketing for me is the perception of a brand
yeah.
and how that links to their customers and
Yeah.
clients.
Nice.
You want to share yours?
Well, just storytelling. That's all I've got at the
Yeah.
moment.
Storytelling,
Yeah.
full
But they're all
stop.
right. Then none of them are not right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Just
just
because they
different
dip
people's
into
different
so
thing.
many
Yeah.
different bits, don't they?
Yeah. So mine's
Yeah.
quite top level. Like
Mm,
marketing is a big, it encompasses a lot of different
mm,
things basically.
yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
sorry, go back to the start of your
Yeah.
journey. We've
So,
got
oh,
there.
So
yeah.
you've been told don't go
somehow.
into
Don't
it.
go
Yeah.
into it. So I didn't go into it. When I was a travel agent, that was my first job.
Oh, you listened. You listened to the careers
Yeah.
advisor.
But I didn't go to uni. I had a boyfriend at the time. I didn't go to uni. It's one of those sort of stories, like in hindsight. Anyway, I worked as a travel agent and basically had a variety of different jobs. I always was really interested in marketing, but it just didn't. there was no encouragement. This is
Mm.
back in the 90s. Like, it was kind of, you didn't have the inspiration, like I think maybe the sort of newer generations have. Anyway, didn't go into it. So 2008, I was working for the airline Flybe.
Mm.
Um, and basically there was an opportunity. They were building a new training academy out there, which the building still exists. It's owned by Exeter College now. And I was brought in as part of a project team to create this new brand, training academy brand. I was working at Exeter College at the time. It's a really complicated situation, but basically I was on this project team when it wasn't really a defined role, and nobody was doing any sort of marketing. We didn't have a website. We didn't have any. We knew we were looking to get external customers to use the facilities that were going to be built. So I just basically winged it and just kind of got someone to help build a website, created some marketing. I didn't at this point. I was not.
First time sort of
I
thing ever.
didn't
Yeah.
really. I had I was doing a bit of kind of research on the side
Mm.
with it. I just went for it and just started doing the marketing and some sales as well at the same time. Um, and then, but I just felt I just needed the kind of some confidence in terms of structure of what I was actually doing. So I managed to convince them to let me do the CIM, Chartered Institute of Marketing diploma in marketing, which was amazing for me because it gave me the theoretical. It basically is like a degree in marketing,
Mm.
essentially.
Mm.
Gave me that theoretical background of the stuff I've talked about today, like marketing strategy, how to plan marketing, how to manage it, all those kind of
Mm.
things. I was like, right, this all makes sense. So doing that just gave me the confidence to actually know what I was doing properly
I know
rather
what
than
you
just
mean.
winging
Yeah.
it.
Rather than it all being self-taught, you actually had a bit of confidence that
Yes,
you were in the right
yeah.
direction.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
whilst this was all happening in the middle of my course, I fell pregnant with my first child and took voluntary redundancy from my role there. So uh, I wasn't working. I was on maternity leave, wasn't working, but and also had taken voluntary redundancy, but also doing this course. Still hadn't quite finished it. So I was a bit of a kind of like, what happens next? I knew I definitely wanted to stay in marketing. Um, I mean, bear in mind I was 34 at this stage, so it wasn't like I started my marketing career
Mm.
young.
Mm.
Mm.
um, and so I love this story actually. So I decided I knew I needed to do something. Oh, I just broke my leg as well. So it
Oh
was all kind
God.
of
How'd you
like
do that?
fell down the stairs
Oh,
carrying
Caroline.
my 9-month-old baby who just started crawling that day. So it was just all
So you
chaos.
you you took the hit for that then. It sounds
I
like
took the hit.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was just in this kind of state of, oh my God, like my maternity leave's coming to an end. Like I didn't want to like lose what I'd gained so far and
Mm.
like that kind of, yeah, loving being a mum, but knew I needed to work.
Mm.
So I took a voluntary role doing some marketing for a music festival in Exeter.
Oh,
It was
nice.
in aid of, it was called Ox Jam. It was raising funds for Oxfam. So through that, I taught myself how to use Twitter at the time, and was asking for contacts and things on there. And I was messaging a man called Mark Astley, who was the former Express and Echo, which was the newspaper that used to exist in Exeter, editor, about media contacts. And he
Mm.
said, "Oh, just give me a ring." Had a phone call. My baby was crying in the background. He had a baby crying in the background. And he's like, "What do you do?" And I said, "Well, funnily enough, I've just taken voluntary redundancy, but I'm in marketing." "Oh, I've just started a sort of an agency, just
Mm.
very, very," I think he'd started about 6 months before. He'd got a good sort of bank of clients. Really sort of looking to sort of build my team and, just initially with kind of freelance support. Just come and have a chat anyway. So I went about 2 weeks later, hobbled up the stairs in my crutches, sat down with Mark, got on really well. He told me what he was up to and what he was trying to achieve. Yeah, I mean, I've got some work actually for you if you want to
Mm.
do some sort of freelance work. So yeah, within 2 weeks, I was kind of working for some of
Straight in.
his clients. Stagecoach Southwest, the bus company, was one of his clients. So they were doing launching some new routes. So it was kind of help. Can you just sort of
Yeah.
help them do that? So just, I mean, I sort of didn't, I knew what I was doing, but I'd never worked in an agency before. I didn't really know
Yeah.
kind of how it would work. And he was just finding his feet as well. So yeah, and then he was talking to Dan, who's my current business partner. They knew each other and had been talking about sort of creating this agency together. And cut a long story short, the three of us kind of came together and said, "Well, let's do this together."
Mm.
Sort of brought in and think so on and so forth. Mark has since left now. He's sort of gone off to do other exciting things.
Mm.
So Dan and I, it's just Dan and I now running the
Mm.
agency. But yeah, so basically I never set out to run an agency, but basically love it, and
Yeah.
actually so glad that kind of that meeting happened for me. And I kind of just, again, I was you know, how do I do this? What do I do? How
Yeah.
do I know what I'm
Yeah.
doing?
Deep
But
end stuff.
it was, yeah,
Yeah.
but kind of just found my way and just
Mm.
kind of picked up and just kind of learned. I do remember in the very early days thinking, how does this actually work? Like you asked me, what's an
Mm.
agency actually doing? How do we
Yeah.
make money? Like, what are we actually here
Yeah.
for? But I kind of just found my way. And just, yeah. And at the same time, it's not just running an agency in terms of the business and working with clients. It's actually running a business, isn't it? Which
Mm.
is, comes with it, all the financial stuff and
Mm.
what there's no sort of guide really.
No.
And, well, not an easy kind of here's the 10 steps to running your business.
Yeah.
I mean, there probably is, but do you know what I mean? Like, you sort
There's
of,
a lot that goes into it you don't think about beforehand, do you, sort of thing?
exactly, yeah. Making sure you pay your VAT on time and things like, all
Mm.
the things. But we've worked it out as we've gone. Yeah, and we're here 12 years in, so a lot of businesses don't
Mm.
survive, do they? So we
Mm.
feel really proud that we've found our way. And yeah, now and since then, so I suppose I've got, yeah. So I finished my CIM really up as soon as the agency started. Really, I pretty much had finished that, and then I've just always been quite passionate about trying to make sure I keep on top of stuff. Although that is a minefield because, again, you can't keep on top of everything in
Never
terms of
finish a day
marketing.
plan.
No, so I just sign up to a few emails and read a few websites and things like that, and try and sort of have a few people that I sort of follow in terms of insights and so on and so forth. Otherwise, it just goes crazy. And then did the mini MBA in brand management as well. So, and just through experience now, yeah,
Mm.
I mean, I kind of feel I know what I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we all get imposter syndrome, though, don't we?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and I think all
definitely.
business, there's that thing that all business owners, we're all winging it. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, do you ever get to a nirvana place where it's just like, yeah, okay, no,
You
we
never
know
finished, are
exactly.
you?
It's
Never
never finished,
finished. No.
exactly.
Yeah. So it would. You went for a bit of a rebrand, did you say, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Because I think
So
that's how I'd not heard of program so much. I think I'd seen you and stuff like that,
yeah,
but I had heard of Astley Media
yes.
purely because that's my last name.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny! That is so weird. That is
And
so weird.
is Mark. This is
Do you know
massive.
Mark?
I don't know.
Is
Is
he
he
like
a
related?
Sidmouth? Is he Sidmouth?
He was doing the Sidmouth Herald for a while.
Okay.
He's in Ottery. He
Oh,
lives in
okay.
Ottery,
Oh,
but
I
he
live in
was.
Tipton, and I'm basically all in Sidmouth.
Oh God,
And
Jevon's
you're
uncle.
Ottery. So that's where I sort of
You
saw a
might know,
few
yeah,
connections.
yeah.
That's where.
So he does
But I
live,
don't know
yeah.
Mark. Sorry, no, I don't know
You
him.
might have come across him because he was
Hmm.
editing Exeter Life magazine.
Mm.
He was editing all the like Sidmouth Herald and stuff like that. I
Really?
don't
Yeah.
think he's doing that anymore. This is quite in the last few years. So he
Yeah.
was, and he's got a clothing brand, and I think it sells in some of the Sidmouth shops and stuff. And he's big on
Oh.
LinkedIn and things. You probably have come across him.
Yeah, this is.
You might be
this is
related.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. This is really weird that I might remember this. Did you guys do a beach clean at Sidmouth?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's literally that. I don't know how I remembered that.
Yes, we
A couple
did.
years ago.
Yes.
There you go.
Were you
That's it.
stalking
Well, there
us
you
on the
go.
beach?
This-
That will be how I know. There's your brand.
There's your brand.
There it
yeah.
is. It's working. I remember.
Yeah, we did do a beach clean at
That is-
Sidmouth
that
Beach.
is so weird, isn't it?
So we were Astley Media.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but not just, it just we basically didn't say who we were anymore.
Yeah.
We're very much, when we started out, it was very, we were very generic sector wise, very quite generic in lots of, we were doing all sorts basically. And it was very much, linked to Mark, who was the original founder. So yeah, it wasn't really the brand name, but the brand image, the brand personality and stuff just wasn't reflective of who we were. So we did a rebrand piece.
It was a
which was so-
natural rebrand of sort of where the
natural
change
rebrand.
went.
So
yeah.
actually we this is how we met Chris, our creative director. Actually, he just moved back to the UK. He'd been living in Portland, Oregon in the States
Oh.
for 13 years.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes, which is a real huge creative hub.
Is it?
He worked for Nike, Adidas,
Nice.
Columbia, 8 big agencies out there. He's worked with big brands and he's brilliant. So he'd moved back to the UK, and I think Dan met him on LinkedIn, as you do, and had a coffee. And then we said, do you fancy doing our rebrand? We knew he was really bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
So so he did our rebrand, and then we were like, that was a missing part of the puzzle for us. We used to go to a lot of or get a lot of pictures and things like that, but we couldn't do that creative bit. And in terms of the visual creatives and kind of proper we could do creative concepts, but being able to visualize it and so we needed a creative director.
Mm.
So it kind of just worked at the right time. And we would like, and actually, yeah, I mean, some of the sort of initial pieces of work he did, we did a sort of launch party for the new brand, and I think we got 3 rebrand pieces of work from
Really?
Oh,
talking
wow.
about our rebrand
Oh, nice.
at the party. 3 people, 3 clients came to us from that. That we do get actually quite a lot of work from speaking at events,
Mm.
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
live almost. So last week,
Yeah.
I've got 3 live inquiries
Really?
Wow.
from doing that talk last
Oh,
week.
that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
And
I think
that's
it's
like
really
you that's
valuable.
like your sales almost, isn't it, sort of
It
thing?
is
That's your
really,
your
but
organic
yeah,
sales,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's a good way of people being able to sort of see you in a kind of, they get to have a see what you're like and
you're a
stuff
real
when,
person rather than
yeah,
just somebody
exactly,
Yeah.
and
behind
hearing the
LinkedIn.
story,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Where did the name program come from then?
That was Chris came up with that. So, yeah, it's kind of a bit nostalgic, a little bit on the techie side because we've
Mhm.
got that kind of innovative tech
Oh, yeah.
link. Um, it's a bit different. It's easy to remember.
Mhm.
And also, yeah, because actually we did a load, and then when we're doing rebrands with clients, things like that, it's really interesting. What we didn't want to do, a lot of agencies now are kind of like purple giraffe or something like that, kind of, they're
Just 'cause
kind,
it's weird and wonderful, isn't
yeah,
it?
which
Yeah.
is, again, it's potentially memorable. It's quite, it just didn't feel right for us,
Yeah.
but we also didn't want to be kind of like amazing marketing or anything like
Yeah.
self-congratulatory, like that didn't feel us either. So we just
Yeah.
wanted something that kind of just was a really easy to remember word,
Mm.
that the domain wasn't taken for.
That's a big bet, yeah, that's a big part of it.
So, I think we must have gone through,
Mm.
I cannot remember how many words and iterations and thinking, is this right? Is it not? But it was
Yeah.
kind of, yeah, the sort of the tech, the nostalgia. It was kind of like slightly kind
That does
of
quite work really
quirky.
nicely with the tech side, doesn't
Yeah,
it,
I think
Mm.
actually?
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the American spelling, program,
Yeah.
rather than as in TV program.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, yeah, I think it has worked really well for
Mm.
us. And in terms of the look and feel, it's quite bold. And yeah, I mean, we're still learning if it's working
Mm.
essentially. And I do
Mm.
love to get feedback because, again, going back
Mm.
to what I was saying before, your brand is not what you
Mm.
think it is, it's what other people think it is. And we've had a good reception. We've had a good reception, very
Mm.
different from how we were, but it definitely is more us and where we are now.
I think it works. I think it works because the tech
Mm.
link,
Link.
I didn't necessarily know that before, but if a
Yeah.
really large portion that's a really good link because then it's actually got
Yeah.
a bit of meaning and
Yes.
like gone are the days where you would call something like your name or like yeah, amazing marketing just so you could find it in an SEO search. Like that doesn't happen anymore, does it?
No.
You've almost got your with word program, and this is exactly what we thought when we chose Conquer. You can
Yeah.
you can build a brand around the word
Yeah.
program
Yeah. Yeah.
really easily,
Yes,
can't you?
exactly. It feels quite grown up as well.
Yeah.
Like we
Mm.
want to, because we are, I suppose, fairly, um how do I put this? That we've got a good experienced team. We're quite,
Mm,
we know what we're doing.
mm,
We've done over 10 years in the agency world now. So we wanted it to be, um feel quite solid. It feels
mhm,
like quite a
Mm.
solid word as
mm,
well.
It's
mm,
programmed into you, isn't it?
Yeah.
All your
mm.
experience.
Comes
Yeah.
with all the right sort of connotations for your market and
Yeah.
your yeah your
I
Yeah.
like
target.
one word brands. I think, like you say,
Yeah.
it's strong, isn't it?
Yeah, we needed to be, yeah, because we are strong, so it needed to portray that.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, I went round the houses with it a lot, thinking, "Is this right? Is it right? Is it?" But yeah, I like it now.
Do you do a lot of rebrands for? You obviously do a lot of rebrands for companies, but like coming up with different names and stuff like that.
It's
Do
not
you?
so much rebrands as in new names, to be honest. It might be.
Okay.
It's usually brand refreshes. Actually, one of the things through my sort of studies and things like that, rebrands really don't rebrand unless, because there's so much equity in a name, even
Mm.
if, yeah, unless there's something really detrimental around the name or
Reinvigorate.
something. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's actually more about yeah, exactly,
Mm.
refreshing, reinvigorating. I mean, for us, it was, we had to, like, it just was right to
Mm.
change our name, but
Mm.
actually, like you said, you'd heard of Asimi, you hadn't heard that,
Mm.
so there is, if you've got years and years under a name, you do have to be quite
Mm.
careful. So it's quite often a refresh. Sometimes if a company is coming up with maybe like a sub brand or something like that, we will do the
Mm.
naming bit.
Mm.
And yeah, it goes into, there's lots of different ways of researching it really. It's kind of, I guess, talking to the team,
Mm.
using word, coming, just sort of kind of like thinking what words come to mind when you think about what you're wanting to try and achieve and things like. You have to kind of have a starting point, and
Mm.
then yeah, it's
It's
fun.
quite yeah, I was gonna say that, that's fun.
It's quite fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very strategic, isn't it? That's good fun, and
yeah.
that's your bag sort of thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and then the babe, I mean, I get involved in that, but Chris, our creative director, his
yeah.
his bag really. He's brilliant at that. He's really good. But yes, quite often this it's sort of refreshing brands in terms of maybe their proposition and which might fall into their tagline or the way they present themselves or their narrative and things like that. That's quite a lot of the work we do. But sometimes it is creating a brand from scratch.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you are now B Corp from this
Yes.
year.
Yeah.
Do
So
you want to tell
March.
us about that?
Yeah, so it just fitted naturally with the way we want to do business and the way we run our business. And so, yeah, do you
What is
know?
B Corp?
So B Corp is basically an accreditation that sort of basically lines the business standards with sort of environmental, social governance kind of. You heard of ESG? That's a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
sort of thing. Yeah,
Mm,
it's around meeting kind of criteria in terms of the way you run your business. So it's like a framework that you basically you go through this sort of process of, I guess it's kind of evidence based for different elements, and it's a points basically. You get a
mhm,
score,
mhm,
then you have an assessment. And it was so bloody easy for us because Isabel, one of our team members, just bloody did it, and she was so good at organising this. I mean, massive credit to her 'cause it's a massive job. But she was so
mm,
passionate about it.
mm,
She she basically coordinated it. Obviously, we had to, myself and Dan and other members of the team had to contribute, but she made it really easy for us.
mm.
For
How
me
long did it
personally,
take?
about a year, I think.
That's good. It's a good period of time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
an easy sort of
No, and we'll
transition.
have to
Mm,
reaccreditate. So you're making a lot of also, you're setting objectives and making commitments for the future. It's not a
yeah,
case of job done.
yeah.
It's very much an evolving process, and B Corp have to be careful because I think I've had this discussion quite a few times. What it doesn't want to be is it, you don't want it to just be a tick box thing.
Mm,
Mm.
Um, but if actually, I think I can't imagine many businesses would go through the process and not get anything out of it, or think, oh, actually, the bits they do learn through going through the framework actually helps to make them a better business and do business better.
mm,
Um, from different, it's very much around how you treat your team and culture, and also not just there's obviously the environmental stuff, but the social impact stuff. It's a variety of stuff, really.
What sort of things
Um,
did you have to sort of tick box then? Anything
um,
in particular worth mentioning?
yeah, I suppose it's what our policies, internal policies. So making sure we've got like a variety of fairness in terms of equality,
Mm,
inclusion. I mean, it's all stuff that we wanted or pretty much had anyway. We
mm,
weren't really having to. We didn't have to really. We haven't really had to do an awful lot that we weren't doing anyway. I think maybe more formalisation around volunteer days, for example. So,
mm.
the team can do volunteer. I mean, we would have always allowed that anyway, but we probably didn't
Mm.
have an official policy for it
I know what you
before.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's almost like formalising some of the stuff that was kind of
yeah.
part of us anyway. But it wasn't. We haven't sort of thought, oh, we didn't want to do that, but we better had. It was all
Mm,
just natural. It's all fitted naturally.
mm,
Um, Obviously reporting our kind of impact, our carbon emissions and things like that, and looking to offset that. Things like, I mean, again, we always kind of always supported like a charity partner and stuff like that, but we've made it a bit more formalized this year.
mm.
So we've got proper charity partnership, and yeah, I think it just kind of just formalizes stuff a little bit more,
Mm.
really. It's a big framework though. I'm
Yeah.
making it sound really simplistic and it's
No, no,
not.
there's a
No.
lot. There's a lot to take off, isn't there?
Yeah,
That's for
there's a
sure.
lot. Have you
Uh,
guys considered it? Is it something that would be interested you?
Considered it a while ago. Maybe just didn't think it was for us at the time.
Yeah,
I
it's got to
feel.
be. It's got to be real and
Yeah, I think the
authentic.
reason maybe why we didn't do it, and I was not saying we wouldn't do it. It's great to do. There's loads of like good things to do.
Yeah,
But again, I feel like we felt like we were doing it anyway, sort of thing.
yeah,
And we were kind of on that mindset really.
yeah.
And there are a lot of hoops to jump through, isn't there?
There
There's a lot of
is.
very time consuming to be able to do that. And I
Yeah,
think
you
maybe
kind
we
of
just
need
didn't.
that person, like the champion, like
Yeah.
Isabel was kind of our big champion coordinator. You
Yeah.
kind of need that. I
Mm,
suppose it just becomes, and this is where you don't. Yeah, it's in the future how much it becomes, part of like procurement processes and things like that, like people
ah.
wanting you to be a B Corp essentially,
Oh
or it being
really?
part. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not
Mm,
sure. There might be other. I think that's just, it's just a consideration really. But then don't
mm.
do it. for that reason. It's really difficult to
Mm.
do it because
Mm.
of if you don't really want to. It's got for my advice would be only do it if it's right for you. It's got to
Thing
be
is that
right for you.
one of the dangers, maybe thinking about it, or what you've just said there is, it's obviously a great thing to do. It's a force for good and all of that, and
Yeah,
that's like some
yeah,
part of the
yeah,
sort of slogan, isn't it? But it becomes almost too big
yeah. Well, if everyone becomes a
if
B
everyone
Corp.
becomes it, yeah.
Which is great
But
because then
that is the
everybody's doing
objective,
better
yeah,
business. Yeah,
yeah,
so I had this conversation last week. I was like,
yeah.
the thing is, everyone might become a B Corp. I was like, but that's great
But
because
that's a good
everybody's
thing,
doing business
yeah.
better. But then
Mm.
does the value of the brand of, I don't
Diminish
know.
because everybody's doing it. I do get that, but then you kind of get to where like investors in people.
Yes.
You know, you get those sort of awards, and that went through a really big phase of it. It was brilliant. It was amazing. Like, we're investors in people
Never
gold.
hear about that anymore.
You just never hear about it anymore.
No,
No, and we've like thought about going through it again, and we thought, well, we
actually,
do this sort of stuff anyway. We don't really need the accreditation. But then you don't want you almost don't want B Corp to get to a place where it's so easy where everybody's doing it,
yeah.
and then it
I-
just becomes a bit of a norm and fades away, and then everyone goes back, and you don't want it to just become a trend.
Yes,
Mm.
Like,
exactly.
and hopefully it's not a trend, because obviously the environment and sustainability and
Yeah,
being good
yeah.
is a great thing to do, but you sometimes you can feel like it's a bit of a
Yeah,
trend, can't you?
exactly. That's where I've had cautiousness about talking about it
Mm,
actually,
mm,
because actually you don't want to be like, wow, we're a B Corp. It's
yeah,
amazing. We're really
Mm.
proud of it and pleased about it. But
yeah,
it's almost like that feels wrong in a way. There's
yeah,
something around and for companies doing it because of the kind of the status is sort of
yeah.
almost goes against the
Well, it depends how you tell the story, doesn't it? I think depends how
exactly.
you tell the
Yeah,
story.
exactly.
Think you
So
don't want to make it your identity, do you?
Well, it's part of our brand, but it's not everything.
It's not
Yeah.
all
mm,
encompassing.
yeah,
No, but I think it just there is something in it that helps shape the type of organization and the values and things that
mm,
we have. So that, I guess that's a stamp of approval from that perspective, and that
mm,
just for people to come. But still, lots of people don't understand or know what B Corp is.
no,
Actually,
Mm.
mm.
Well, didn't you
Does
have a
still feel
stat
new. Does
it
still
is
feel
new,
new.
and
that it
Yeah.
service business as well. I mean, the Southwest has got the biggest outside London, the biggest contingent of B Corps.
Really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you see it on a lot of packaging for food brands and
Mm.
Mm,
drink brands,
mm.
particularly the sort of the newer, trendier kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
brands that are
definitely.
coming out. They definitely, a lot of them are B Corp, but
Mm,
in terms of yeah, service-based businesses, I think brand agencies are quite onto it because of they recognize the value
the
and the
story.
way they want.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen many other. I don't know of loads of service-based business. I'm starting to
mm,
hear of more.
mm,
What I want to do is connect with other B Corps now to work out, well, what do we do together
mm.
to make it something worthwhile.
The best thing to do that a B Corp could do is keep continuing to make it difficult to become a B Corp, rather than allowing everybody to come in and keep progressing with that sort of thing. Because I suppose it is a journey, isn't it?
It is, but at the same time, I suppose we're trying to be advocates for everyone doing better business.
Mm, mm.
So yes, but
But you
making
don't
the
want to lower the
standards high,
standard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
keep
the
this, and
thing.
their
Yeah.
standards are that
Mm,
the reaccreditation process will be
mm.
difficult.
Yeah.
They're making it harder.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. But it's a great thing to get behind and do, because it's a brilliant story, and it's probably like the only proof out there at the moment that
I
you
think
are
that's
a
it.
business working towards good
Yes,
for
exactly.
every
Yes,
stakeholder, rather than
exactly. It
just bottom
works
line
for us
profit.
because of the way we run our business and way
Yeah.
we feel and way we want to be, but
Mm,
also for the type of companies we work with.
mm,
So working with other B Corps would be
mm.
gold for us
Yeah.
because they were already on the same, and they're doing impact stuff, and we want to help them tell
Mm,
their do good stories.
Have you
yeah.
had to turn down certain clients that haven't met the
No, but we would.
criteria? But you would, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because did you tell a story in your talk last
Yes,
week
yeah. So
about yeah?
there's a big agency group, Havas. So it's a famous one in agency world, like a global agency group. Four of their um sections had their B Corp revoked because they were working with Shell.
Mm,
So that was a big story. Yeah. And there are bodies, like industry bodies. There's one called like Clean Creatives, which you can sort of sign up to kind of like I guess demonstrate your kind of commitment to working with companies that aren't destroying the planet. Or yeah, it's difficult though. It's I
mm,
can see like it's just a choice. People just
mm, mm,
Yeah,
and
mm,
we run our own agency, so we can make a choice.
make
But
the
mm,
yeah,
choice.
mm.
Mm.
yeah,
I think it
we would turn stuff
shows.
down that we didn't agree with.
Yeah,
We just couldn't do it because
no.
it's just
Mm.
yeah.
Well, I think it shows already that you haven't had to turn any client. You haven't had to say goodbye to any
Yeah.
current clients
No,
Mm.
no,
because you
no.
you already
Yeah,
aren't
yeah, yeah, yeah,
working
yeah,
within that
yeah,
sector, if you know what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So it does fit program.
Yes. And I don't think that we've got a single client where they're not wanting to do more or do more good. It's obviously like there's such a, we've got clients that are literally creating, like I say, huge, amazing technologies that will benefit society and the environment loads. So they're, one end of the spectrum. We've got other clients who aren't necessarily doing that, but surrounding that, they're still wanting to do better business and still trying to work out where they can have an impact and
Mm.
yeah. So that's still, yeah. There's different variations of
Do a lot of
obviously.
your clients are a lot of your clients B Corp?
No,
Really?
no, but I should think that some are definitely interested in being so.
Mm. Mm.
No, not really, because
That's good.
there still aren't that many B
Mm.
Corps.
No,
No,
it's what was the stat?
6,500 around the
Yeah.
world. Um, have you got much from it, sort of thing? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Um,
how do you use it?
Quantify, yeah. I mean, not. I wouldn't. We're not yet. I would say we've definitely. I think I would say at the moment it's difficult to measure in terms of business success from having it. I
Mm.
think that will come in time potentially.
Mm.
Just because of supply chains and things like that, they'll want
Mm.
to use other B Corps. I think we're definitely part of. We've started. I was starting to become more of a network in the southwest of B Corps. So
Mm.
there hasn't been much activity, but there's an event in a couple of weeks, so that's great. I think we just need to be doing more with other B Corps to sort of
Mm.
discuss about how we work together, basically,
Mm.
Mm.
and or yeah, I think.
Is there a mechanism where B Corps sort of come together or can come together or have
Well,
access to each other, sort of thing?
there is events and they have like sort of advocates or kind of like champions within different areas. So there's B Lab Devon, I think,
Mm.
which is the event in a couple of weeks. So I'm still new to it, to be honest, to
Mm.
finding out how it
Mm.
actually will play
Mm.
out.
Mm.
I've talked to a couple of other B Corps I know locally about would do an event or get together. Let's talk to each other and decide what
Mm.
can we do. Where do we take this? What do we do?
Mm.
But nothing's really come of that yet. But
It's a brilliant, like, starting point for collaboration, isn't
yes,
it? You wanna
exactly.
work with
Yeah,
companies that have a
yeah,
similar mindset.
yeah. And we're really collaborative. Like, I mean, we just I don't know, just talk to other businesses and always looking for potential. Not, I wouldn't even say partnerships. That's too formal.
Mm.
Just, I love having like a network of people who do different things that you think, oh, I could just if someone says, oh, what about them? I could say, oh, what about so and so, so and so. Always connecting and introducing and things.
Yeah.
And I think that comes back to us, I guess, because we're good at doing that. I think that happens back to us. We get introduced to people a lot because we're naturally doing that for other people as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool. Marketing mixer.
Oh yeah, so this
Talk
is
to
a
us
new
about that.
So I had an idea. So I'm working with a lot of companies where there's often just a one person, one marketeer. Are
Mhm.
you the only marketeer here?
Mhm.
Yes.
Well, you can come.
Thanks. Thanks for the invite. I think I said to you, you should do one in Exeter
If
because
there's
it's in
enough
Bristol.
demand, I'll do one in
Yeah.
Bristol. In Exeter, sorry. So we've started it in Bristol because basically, yeah, I was talking to a lot of marketing people within companies, particularly like tech companies again, where they're on their own and they're working with a lot of techies and they kind of want to like meet other marketing people, so to talk the same language for a bit
Mm.
and just sort of build that peer group. So I suggested let's try and build some kind of community or bring people together. And it
Yeah.
was a kind of just let's just see how it goes. So yeah, I came up with this event. It's not about because there are other marketing meetup groups and things like that. So it's not trying to be another exactly the same. It's aimed at in-house marketing people and kind of tech innovation or do good companies. So
Mm.
people who are potentially interested in becoming B Corp or are kind of doing good, they're kind of interested in that kind of positive impact piece. So yeah, so we ran the first one in Bristol in October. And I think we had nearly 30 people come, which I thought was
Oh, brilliant.
bloody good for a first
Nice
event.
loads, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. I was really, really chuffed. We're doing it kind of in conjunction with another company called Thought Quarter. They're an agency, but they're a software agency, so completely different from us.
Mm.
And actually, Florence, who works for them, is a in-house marketeer on her own, as it were. She's the only person in marketing, so it's kind of she was one of the first people I sort of spoke to about it and said, "Would this be of interest for you?" And she said, "Yeah." And then we decided to join forces. And yeah, so we're going to run another one in Bristol in February. But actually, at Building Brands, I put like a QR code up to say anyone of interest. I've got loads of
Yeah, I bet.
sign-ups,
I
so I
bet.
need to just filter through and see who's I might try and do one in Exeter as well.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
Um,
What sort of things do you talk about there? Would you
well,
go
we've
through?
obviously only just had one, so we had a couple of guest speakers. So we had the sort of, I can't remember what her title was, but marketing brand director from a company called Neighbourly, which are a social value platform.
Mm,
They're based in Bristol, so she came in and talked about their brand and how they work as a business and their culture, and that was really fascinating. We had an ESG consultant come in and talk around kind of some facts and figures around that, and then how what people can do around kind of going on that journey. We did a panel discussion around humanizing your brand. Sure,
nice.
we had someone else. Oh yes, we had the reason it's not so memorable is it was she couldn't come last minute, so she did it virtually. But around kind of strategic marketing, just yeah. So
Mm,
it's kind of again we want to know what the group would like to hear about and do. So we probably have
mm,
a theme each time.
Mm.
Um, yeah, we're kind of just
mm,
seeing how it evolves and goes,
mm. Yeah, that's
and
great.
yeah. So yeah, I love doing stuff like that though. For me personally, that's
Yeah.
yeah, really enjoyable. Just like bringing people together and chatting and
Yeah.
meeting new people and just seeing where it goes. So
Especially like in-house people talking from experience. Like it can be when there isn't anybody else that is doing the same thing as
yeah,
you, it can be a little bit lonely and
yeah, exactly.
isolating,
Well, you're
can't it? Yeah.
exactly why I've set it up, because I've got a lot of people I've met through business, but mates basically. I
Yeah.
make a lot of friends who work. To be
Mm,
honest, I've got a lot of friends who are in that role,
Yeah.
and I'll meet for coffee and stuff. And everyone's been like, "Oh yeah, no, please do that. Can you sort that out? Because I'd
Yeah.
really like to
mm,
like just. It's just about. It's not, and I don't want it to be overly formal at all because I'm not a formal person, and I yeah, I just want it to be like people making mates that they can just call if they all just if they become friends, that's brilliant. If they
Yeah.
don't, if they just wanted someone else who can understand what
yeah.
they do and just
Yeah.
It's good
get
like
some useful.
CPD as well. It's almost like a training and like
Yeah.
reinvigoration, isn't it? And learning new stuff because
Yeah,
you do always learn new stuff at those
for
sort of
sure.
things. There's always something you learn
Yeah,
from
like
it, and it
three things that you might take away is
kick
brilliant.
starts. Yeah,
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 or just even like, but just yeah, talking to other marketeers about what courses they've done or what their
Mm.
view is on marketing or where they think what's happening, what the AI tools they're using, and
Yeah.
mm.
that kind of thing.
Very good. Very
Cool,
good.
lovely. Well, we've been through most things here, and we usually finish off.
We usually finish off. I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you, but
So
at
it's
the
a
end.
surprise.
So
Is
it's
this
a
going to be scary?
surprise. It's not scary. At the end of each episode, we are basically trying to put together a little collage of all of our guests' definition of success.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Because everybody's definition is different, and these episodes are being created to try and be relatable to lots of different people
Yeah.
in their business journey or career out there. So, I suppose the question is, what is your definition of
Are you
success?
talking personally or like from a business perspective
We
or
could do
both?
both.
So personally, I think it's just being happy and fulfilled and having kind of um new stuff going on and being on a journey. And that for me, there isn't that end point for success. I mean, I feel like I'm successful because I'm having fun and I've got stuff going on and my life is fulfilled and I'm busy. Does that make
I don't
sense?
think anybody said that actually.
No.
Fun. I don't think anybody's used the word fun.
And you know what? Not a lot of people have said outright, I feel successful.
Yeah.
So,
Well, don't get me wrong, like I'm my own worst critic, but at the same time, I know I'm doing all right.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
but
no,
that's
love
just a
it.
good
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I just think, yeah, I'm not making millions of pounds. Like,
Mm,
success isn't financial to me, actually.
mm,
I always, I'm not overly financially driven, which I'm not sure is a great thing for a business. But I don't know. Actually, for me, from a financial perspective, I just want to have enough money to do nice things and be able to take my kids traveling.
mm,
That's my kind
mm,
of thing, to be able to take them on nice holidays,
mm,
and give them nice place to live and safe and so on and so forth. So finances don't necessarily come to mind first of all for me personally from a success. I think for success is me just feeling fulfilled and having fun and meeting new people and feeling kind of energized, I guess.
mm.
Quite a long answer, isn't it?
No, it's
But
good.
No,
It's
yeah, we
good.
like
and from
this.
a business perspective, I think it's a balance. I think it is being profitable but purposeful. So, and we're achieving that at the moment. So doing good business, but achieving it in a profitable way, because we won't if we're not profitable, we're not going to be able to continue.
Mm,
So,
mm,
so yeah, that would be my two definitions of
mm,
success.
mm.
But definitely, fun is bloody massively important. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I really like that one actually because it's quite easy to, it's one of the first things you said, and to be honest, one of the first things most people say is happy, isn't it? Be
yeah,
happy. but like, what is individual people's happiness? And then maybe you did define your own. Then is, you're actually having fun with what you do,
I
and
think
you
as well,
actually enjoy it.
and I like change actually,
Mm,
which is
mm,
not like radical change, but
yeah.
I love that thing about you never know, we don't know what's around the corner, but in
Mm,
an exciting way. And anything's possible. I'm very open minded. Anything's
mm,
possible in
mm,
life.
Yeah, you seem really optimistic.
mm,
Yeah, and I just think like yeah, meeting. I love meeting people and meeting, and you never know what opportunity might come from that. I've met even this year. I think about the people I've met this year and opportunities that have come from that, whether it's personal
mm,
or new friendships or it's been a new business something. I think, well, I would never have predicted all that. So I just love that kind of anything is possible kind of, and
yeah.
that's all rolls into success for me. I think because yeah, just life ain't dull.
No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I just thought, just maybe to round it off, what's like your best bit of advice
Yeah,
for like a business owner or like a Maddie or somebody who's actually starting to think quite seriously about their marketing and wants to actually sort of improve their marketing? What's the first thing you do?
take a step back and look at where you are now.
Mm,
Make sure you spend some time doing that. You can't strategize without knowing where you are.
mm,
Otherwise, you're just in this mix of kind of like keep going, and you're running forward. But actually, take a moment to see where you are now. What's working well? What's not working well? Maybe the outcome is you just carry on doing exactly what you've been doing.
mm,
But maybe the outcome is actually you don't need to do that anymore. We're wasting budget and time.
mm,
So just have a rethink and strategize. Always strategize. Don't
mm.
just yeah. I mean, I love the just go for it with certain things. Just test it out.
Yeah,
But there will be a strategy usually behind it somewhere. But yeah, ideally always have strategy.
yeah, like that. And from like a business point of view, what's your best advice for sort of small, medium-sized business owners?
Just like find your peers and like have people to talk to and just like be open and share your struggles and be open and honest. Yeah, just
Yeah,
for me that's been essential really, just talking and meeting other agency owners and just
yeah.
sharing and yeah, that's really helped me personally.
That's a nice bit of advice actually, because there's so many businesses which are in competition but really feel like they're in competition.
Yeah, I guess that's easy. Yeah. I yeah, it's
But
again it's
I do feel
contextually,
like
isn't it?
marketing is like a general area of business is actually more collaborative in that sense,
Yeah.
more
Yes,
so.
for sure. Like I feel yeah, I mean we'll go up against other agencies, but I would that's just part of it. Like
Mm.
Mm.
it
Well,
doesn't
it would never not be the case, won't it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it wouldn't. I still want to be mates with them and talk to
Yeah.
each other. And you never know when there's an opportunity. You just it's all kind of quite
Mhm.
a small network. I say that though.
Mm.
There's 25,000 agencies in the UK.
Mm,
Massive. But
that is a lot. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Well, let's
Thank you very
finish
much.
on that.
Oh,
Thanks
thank you for
very
having
much,
me. I've really
Caroline
enjoyed
Orr.
it.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Been great fun.
Well
Thank you.
done.